to Source Yoga Space. In this video today, we are going to talk about some basics of yoga. So this is intended for those of you who have not done any yoga before, and what would be good to have some equipments, basic ones, and some basic postures when we move into practice. And I will show you with the props to do some adjustments in the posture. So first, what do we need? We need ourselves, our body, our mind together in the same place. That can be difficult sometimes, but that's what we're trying to achieve with yoga, the unity of body, mind, and spirit. So please bring yourself to your yoga mat. So yoga mat, that's the first thing. So yoga mat, the most important thing is really the grip, so how it touches for you. So I like yoga mats that is gripping, so when you put your hands on it, especially when you're upside down, it doesn't slip. So the material I like are usually natural rubber. So like these ones are natural rubber, so that it really has a very nice grip. And there are other ones out there using foams, and some of them are good too. But it's better if you can choose one that you can touch first and then see if it works well for you. And the second thing to think about mat is the thickness. So this one I have here is a travel mat. So it folds very nicely. It can fold into very thin cloth, so I can put it in the suitcase when I travel. Well, we don't know when we are going to travel next. Anyway, so for someone who has a lifestyle of having a lot of travel, this is a good choice. However, for your home practice, you may, especially if you have hard floor, you may want to have a mat that has a bit thicker thickness, so that it gives you a little more cushion. Whereas if you have a carpet floor, then the thickness, the cushioning is already there. So something like a yoga mat, like this very thin yoga mat, would work very well, as long as it doesn't slip. So again, material for me, personally, I like the natural rubber the best, because they don't slip for your skin, and they also don't slip on any surface. And they're natural, so environmentally friendly. So that's my preference. And other than yoga mat, especially for people who are not very flexible, you might want to have a bolster or a pillow. So this would help you, for example, when we are doing some sitting on the floor, you can elevate your hips so that when you sit on the floor, that is more comfortable for you, and for the hamstrings to be more relaxed, and so that your knees can be at the same level as your hips. And this is more comfortable than blocks. So blocks can do the same thing. It can elevate your hips. Use however many you need. So here use 2, like so. And blocks can be also useful in other postures, like when you are in a standing position and bending forward and you cannot reach the floor, and you can put 2 blocks here, and you can put your hands on the block instead. So blocks can be very useful props. So next one, blanket. So we want to have blanket because it also can use to be cushion, like sitting. This is more comfortable than sitting on the hardwood wooden floor. Or when we usually finish the practice, we'll be lying down on the floor in a resting position called Shavasana, which is corpse pose. So in corpse pose, the body temperature would drop very quickly. So you want to have a blanket handy. So when you are lying down, ready to rest, you can pull a blanket over you so that you don't feel cold. So keeping warm, so that's good to have as well. And another one, just another cushion, pillow. So when you lie down, if you want to have your head rested on the pillow, or when you're sitting, you can also have the pillow underneath you so that it's more comfortable. So these are the basic things that I would usually have handy so that it would help my practice. So let's get a little bit of movement into our body, and I'll walk you through some very basic postures, and I will go into detail about the alignment of the body so that it gives you good idea of what we need to look out for. So it would not be a flowing class. So first, let's start with sitting position. So you can sit cross-legged, having your heels closer to your groin if this is more comfortable for you, or taking your shins a bit forward and outside, and this will give you a little more stretch at the back of your hips and also a bit more stretch on the shin as well. But this may not be accessible and may not be comfortable for all of you. And in that case, you can get a cushion, a pillow, or blocks, whatever that you have to help you elevate your hips. And in the sitting position, the goal is to have the knees at the same level as your hips. So this will give you the optimal sitting. And when we sit, we want to feel both hip bones, sit bones, are evenly on the floor. So we want to feel our body weight is evenly distributed on the right side and the left side of the body. And then align your hips to be right on top of your sit bones. And then align your shoulders to be in the same line as your hips. So your back is straight. And then your head, you can place one palm on the top of your head and feel that you want to push the top of your head into your palm. So that helps you, give you a little bit of sense of elevating and elongating the spine to grow taller. So you use your sit bones to push the floor evenly on both sides to elevate and lengthen your spine to help you grow taller and have the top of your head pushing into your palm. So try to feel your spine from the very bottom where the sit bones are and the coccyx and each spinal cord aligning on top of each other. And you want to lengthen and increase the space between each spinal cord. And that's how I want you to visualize lengthening your spine. You can rest both of your hands on your thighs or on your knees without losing the length of your spine. So not compromising the long spine, that position. And just rest your hands on the top of your thighs. Also, think about your chest. So the spine is a vertical movement from the top, from the bottom going up to the top. So lengthen this way. But the chest, we want it to be a horizontal movement going sideways and expand as wide as possible. And lower your shoulders, so your shoulders should be far away from your ears. So we want your shoulders relaxed. Don't do this. We spend a lot of time in front of the desk all the time, so we tend to have very tight shoulders doing this all day. So in yoga, we want to relax it and get it down. So shoulders down, chest open out to the side. So I want you to feel your ribs going from the middle outwards, like the bird expanding their wings to the side. That's how I want you to feel when you are sitting. Have your chest uplifted and expanding to the side, whereas your shoulders are relaxed and going towards the sit bones. So they're going down, creating space between your ears and the shoulders. And your ears should be aligned with your shoulders. So that's a long spine sitting position, and your spine should be feeling really good and chest uplifted, long spine, lengthening, growing taller to hit the ceilings. That's the final goal. So we spend just a few more breaths in this position, just feeling our spine. And challenge is not just on the mat. When you are sitting off the mat, can you remind yourself to do this as well when you sit in front of your desk? Sit tall, spine long, and chest expanded, shoulders down. So if we can keep this position even when we are working, that would be perfect. And another important thing that would be important throughout the yoga session is your breath. So we usually don't pay attention to our breathing, but breath is so important. It's life, it's our basic energy. So when we are doing yoga, we want to coordinate our movement with the breath. And you observe your quality of your breath, and that would help you understand where your body is at that moment. So when the breath starts to be long and very fine, that's a sign of relaxation. When the breath starts to be short and very fast, that's a sign of your body start to warm up and work out. So when you start to feel your breath increasing in the frequency, so when you start to breathe faster, then that's when you know, oh, your body is being challenged. So if it's still comfortable for you, you can challenge your body a little more. So breathing. Usually we breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the nose. And next time you breathe in through the nose, try to imagine the breath going into your respiratory system and going down all the way to the belly, to the bottom of the belly, lower belly. And when you're breathing out, the air is coming out from the lower belly all the way up through the throat and up through the nose. Breathing through the nose, into the belly, out again from the belly to the nose. So that's usually how we breathe. And there are some breathing techniques. So ujjayi breathing, that's one of the very common one that we use. So ujjayi means ocean. So it's like ocean sound breathing. Imagine you have a glass in front of you and you are trying to fog the glass. So you will do this. So ujjayi breathing, when you are doing ha, but without the ha sound. So you are doing but with the mouth closed. So you open the back of your throat and let the air pass through the back of the throat to make that ocean sound, like waves. So when you inhale and let the air pass through the back of your throat, you will make that sound. And breathe out, same through the nose and resonate at the back of your throat. In through the nose, out through the nose. In through the nose, out through the nose. In through the nose, out through the nose. And this ujjayi breathing is very good to create some heat within the body. So when you start your practice and want to get the body warmed up, ujjayi breathing is a great technique to have. And another breathing technique is shitali breath, so cooling breath. So we want to have very, very slow and thin air when we breathe in and through the mouth. So if you can curl your tongue like so, do this. If you cannot curl your tongue, that's fine. We just keep our mouth very tiny like this. And you breathe in through that tiny opening of the mouth. And breathe out through the nose. Breathe in through the mouth or through the tongue. Breathe out through the nose. One more time, breathe in through the mouth. Out through the nose. So this breathing technique is great for cooling down the body. So when you want to relax, wind down, this is the breath to go. So if you're lying in bed wanting to fall asleep and couldn't fall asleep, shitali breath, cooling breath, is a wonderful technique to help you fall asleep. So last breathing technique is balancing breath, shorty breath. So take your right palm, fold your index and middle finger down. So now you have two sides of the hand. So turn it towards you, turn the palm towards you, close your right nostril with your right thumb, breathe in through the left nostril. And then close the left nostril with your ring finger and breathe out through your right nostril. And then breathe in through your right nostril. Close the right and breathe out through the left. In through the left. Close left and out through the right. Nose right and out through the left. Into the left, out through the right. So once in through the right, out through the left, and in through the left, out through the right. That's one cycle. So when you do the balancing breath, you will want to have it always a balanced cycle. So this is great for balancing the right side and the left side of the body energy, and also very good for calming down. So that's another breathing technique that is very useful. So the next position I will go into and cover will be tabletop. So tabletop is when you be on all fours. Your palms should be right underneath your shoulders. So your hands would be shoulder width apart. And I want you to expand your fingers as wide as possible. You visualize your hand like the root of a tree. So you want your root to be as wide and strong as possible. So that's why I want you to open your fingers, open your palms. And when you are here, also pay attention to the fingers alignment. I want your middle fingers to point to the front, and they should be parallel to each other. So that's a good alignment. That means your arms are in the perfect alignment, facing forward. So you will not be facing outside like this, and then it avoids injuries from your wrist and from your elbow. And your knees, they should be right underneath your hips. So they should form a vertical line from the floor. And the knees should be, again, hip width apart so that they are aligned with your natural body alignment. And you want to tuck your toes under, so that gives you a little more flexibility. And this is called tabletop because your spine, your back should be like a tabletop, a flat one. But of course, our spine has a little bit of natural curve, so it won't be completely flat. It will be naturally curved. But make sure your alignment is comfortable. If you are aligning your body in the right way, it should feel comfortable for your body, and you should feel very stable in this position. So that's tabletop. Hands are shoulder width apart, and knees are hip width apart. And your spine should be flat but naturally curved. And from here, we'll do some cat-cow movement. So like a cat or cow's movement. So in cat, we'll breathe in and look up to the sky and tilt your tailbone up. And in cow, we curl our spine, push your hand into the floor, and you can look into your belly button. So you should have a very round spine. And we'll repeat this a few times. Inhale, cat, look up to the sky, lift your tailbone up. Exhale, cow, look into your belly button, curl the spine, push the floor. Inhale, lift your head up, tailbone up. Exhale, curl the spine, push the floor. Two more times. Inhale, look up, tailbone up. Exhale, push the floor, curl the spine. Last time. Inhale, look up. Exhale, curl the spine. Next, inhale, come back to tabletop. And we can do a little more fun cat-cow with making circles with our spine. So that would activate our spine. And some people call this the wheat barrels, like the barrels that has the wine in there. So we can start by breathing in, and we sweep our spine to the right side and come up, round the spine, and then when we breathe out, we sweep our spine to the left and lift the tailbone and come to a low point. So follow your breath. Inhale, sweep right, and then curl up. Exhale, sweep left, and come down. Inhale, right, curl up. Exhale, left, and down. We do this one more circle. Inhale, right, up. Exhale, left, down. And then we need to switch side so that it's balanced. Inhale, sweep left, up. Exhale, sweep right, and then down. Inhale, left, and up. Exhale, right, and down. Last time. Inhale, left, and up. Exhale, right, and down. And we come back to tabletop. Find your neutral spine again. And next we'll come to downward facing dog. That's another very common pose. So in downward dog, your hand should be in the same place. So they are shoulder width apart and middle fingers facing forward and parallel to each other. And you can push your ball of the feet and lift your hips up from tabletop to come into your downward dog. So in downward dog, we want to feel the spine is very long, very flat, and your back of the leg should feel extended and the muscles stretched as well. And if this is not accessible to you, you can start by bending your knees and keep your back straight and working from there towards downward dog. So you can stretch one leg at a time and keep one leg bent and then switch side, slowly working towards your downward dog. An important thing to notice in downward dog is keeping your hands shoulder width apart and pushing the root of the fingers. So these guys, push all of them evenly into the floor. That will give you a lot more stability and also avoid any injuries on your wrist. A very common mistake is when you put too much pressure on the wrist, and then later on you will get injury on the wrist, and that's what we don't want that to happen. So in the downward dog, also notice your shoulder. They should also be far away from the ears, so they are not coming up like so. You can't really see with my jumper on, sorry. But you should keep your shoulders as far away from the ear as possible, like when we were sitting. Keeping the spine long, that is not compromise your long spine. And another thing I want you to feel is the tailbone, the hip. It should go up towards the ceiling as high as possible. And I want you to feel, maybe try to do this yourself. Feel that when you are rotating your tailbone up and down, up and down a few times, and just see how it feels for you. And another thing, importantly, is your ribs. I want your ribs feeling like they are knit in, so they are not expanding like this, so you are not hyperextending. That would give you some injury on the back and also on the wrist. That's not nice. So I want you to feel that you are closing the ribs in, keeping your spine long, chest open, but they are not, your back is not arched. So again, downward dog from the tabletop. Hands underneath the shoulders, shoulder width apart, middle fingers facing forward, parallel to each other, and push all the root of the fingers into the floor. And your knees are hip width apart, and tuck your toes under. Next, inhale, lift your hips up towards the sky, keeping the spine long. And if you can, push your heels into the floor, lift your tailbone up, knit your ribs in, and relax your shoulders. The shoulders are going down towards the sit bones. Feeling how your long spine was when you were sitting, and this spine should be in the same position as that sitting spine. Very long, and you are trying to even increase the space between each of the spinal cord. And if you want to keep your knees soft, that's fine, but try to expand your spine and keeping your spine long. So that's downward facing dog. Another very, very common position. So now walk your feet towards your hand. Here we will work a little bit on forward bend. So basically bending forward. So for people who are not as flexible, and if you have bricks with you or blocks, that would be great. That's the time to use them. And you need to adjust the height of the bricks or blocks so that they are at the right height to support you. But you also want to challenge yourself a little bit to work towards the floor. So your feet, you can keep them hip width apart. Big toes parallel to each other, facing forward. And your heel should be in the same line as your hips. So heel, knees, and hips are on the same straight line. So that would give you optimal stability. So just try to find your standing position first. Find a comfortable and stable standing position. You can keep your hands softly on your hips first. And again, feel your shoulders. They should be right above your hips. And head in the same line as your shoulders. Ears above each shoulder. You can rest your hands on the side. This would actually be another pose. This is Tadasana, mountain pose. So standing tall like a mountain. So that's mountain pose. And when in mountain standing pose, feel that you are rooting your heels into the floor to give you a little more push and uplift to grow taller. So using the energy to go down to help you grow up and lift up. So stay in mountain pose for another breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. So working up towards our forward bend. Take your hands on your hips. Inhale, lengthen and lift your chest first. Exhale, bend forward. Try to keep your back straight when you bend forward. If you have your blocks or bricks ready, take them out and so put them shoulder width apart so that it's the same principle when you are actually going down with your hands to reach the floor. That would also be shoulder width apart to give you stability and good the correct alignment. So you can experiment with the bricks and see which height is best for you. Keep your spine long. Keep your legs straight. Just experiment and see which height is best for you, where you can keep both your back and the legs straight. And your hands should be aligned with your shoulders. So the distance between your hands or the bricks and your feet would be your trunk's length. And for me, I don't need the bricks. I would just push my hand on the floor. And when you are resting your hands wherever on the floor or on the bricks, push your palms into the bricks to help you elongate your spine. And push your heels into the floor to give you also a length in the legs. Push your hands into the floor or into the bricks to help you open the chest. And finally, you can rest your head, just let it hang. Try to keep your spine long. You can shake your head from side to side, nod your head. Just relax the neck. When you've had enough, grab opposite elbows and again let your head hang. You can swing your body from side to side. That should feel pretty good to your lower back. So next, inhale, plant your hand on the floor again and bend your knees. Slowly rest one knee on the floor and then another knee. Come back to tabletop position. And now we are going to sit our hips back towards the heel to come to another pose called child pose. And child pose is a very resting position, and when you are in a more moving class, when you feel that you are tired and you don't want to challenge yourself anymore, you can come to child pose as a resting position at any time during your practice. So starting from tabletop, sit back towards your heels. For those who are more flexible, you can even touch your big toes, open your knees a little more, and sit back so your chest will be resting between your legs. And you extend your hand forward and have your forehead on the floor. That's a very resting child pose. For people who are more flexible, this will feel very good. And if you have a partner, better thing for the partner to support your practice would be gently push the hip towards the back. This would give you a little more stretch at the lower back. So very nice thing to do for your partner. So for people who are not as flexible, don't worry, you can still do this in a very comfortable way. So this time is the time you can get your blanket. You can put the blanket here on the calves. You can do it one layer, or if you need 2 layers, that will feel better for you, do so. And you can have a brick or block in front of you, so when you slide forward, you can rest your forehead on the brick or block. So that should also feel very nice and resting. So that's adjustment for child pose, a resting position. Very nice for the spine. And when you are resting in your child pose, I'll take this away. Try to feel that your spine is again lengthened, long spine, and your sit bones and hips are going backwards, your top of the head and your spine is lengthening forward. So you're trying to create a very long line along your body with the hips extending backwards, top of the head and the spine lengthening forward. The shoulders away from the ears. And just stay here for another 3 breaths. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. As we are coming to the end of our practice, we want to release a little more tension. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale nose. Exhale mouth. Inhale nose. Exhale mouth. Inhale nose. Exhale mouth. Okay, final position for today, Shavasana, corpse pose. So, it's my favorite pose. What do we need to do? Just lie on your back on the floor. Isn't that great? That's the best pose ever. So, clear your mat, having the space that you need, and have your blanket ready as we will cool down quite a bit once we lie down, not moving. So when we lie down, we want to have the blanket ready to cover all parts. And if you have your hair tied up, you can release your hair so that it gives you complete relaxation and freedom. And you just let your feet naturally flop to the side a little bit, and your arms should be extended, palms facing upwards, and just naturally resting on the floor. In this final position, I invite you to visualize your breath. When you breathe in through the nose, imagine a white light coming into your body, through your throat, down to your chest, and down to your belly. When you exhale, white light coming from the belly, through the chest, through the throat, and out through the nose again. So do this visualization with every breath. Slowly start to increase the depth of your breath. Bring awareness back to your breath, back to your body. Send a message to your body, telling that you are going to move. Gently wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Bring some small movement to the body. Inhale, stretch your arms upwards, stretch your legs forward, just like when you wake up in the morning, a big morning stretch. And then bend your knees, roll to the right side, using your right arm as a pillow, use your left hand to support. Stay here as long as you need to. Whenever you're ready, slowly push yourself back up to sitting. Keep your eyes softly closed. Bring your palms together, prayer position in front of the heart. Come back to sitting position, like at the beginning of this practice. Observe your body, observe your breath. Notice any difference between your body and the breath before and after the class. We'll take 3 deep breaths together to close this practice. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Inhale nose, exhale mouth. Inhale nose, exhale mouth. Thank your body for doing this practice with you, and I thank you for joining me today.